Can everyone hear me all right, guys? Just send a message into the chat if it's all good. I think you guys are muted, I think, but I might be able to unmute here somewhere. Sorry. Okay, perfect. I'll get started, guys. So thanks everyone for joining. We're also going to record this and send it around to all of our clients. But pretty much what I wanted to go through today, and hopefully it'll only take 30, maximum 40 minutes, just to go through the new features that we're going to be releasing tonight. So you'll all see them on production this Monday. And my hope is to kind of run through the features, give people the opportunity to ask anything they want, and also a bit of time at the end just to, I guess, give us some recommendations for other things that you think we should be working on. But pretty much the theme of this release just gone by is one place for everything. And the idea is kind of both in terms of planning and also in terms of creative assets, trying to keep everything on the platform, because that's going to better help us understand how a plan changes and evolves from start to finish and the reasons why. And it's also going to help us understand which creatives work and which don't work. I feel like the common thread in the industry now is it's very easy to generate creative. That's not necessarily the bottleneck anymore, but the difficulty lies in understanding which worked and which didn't work. And this sort of version one of what we're going to show today is a step towards us trying to do better sort of reporting around assets. And this first step is more just the management of those assets. But I'll quickly go through sort of the three main sort of things that I'm going to walk through. Number one is the new sort of calendar planning workspace, which we're hoping is sort of going to replace planning that's often done either on email chain or whether it's done in spreadsheets. It's kind of very difficult to manage. It's super obviously difficult to audit if you're trying to understand, how a plan changed from start to finish. So that's what we've been trying to work on: improved sort of communication about a plan, improved version history about a plan, and also the ability to export if needed to maybe the C-suite or whatever it might be. Then in terms of the creatives, we built an asset library, and the purpose of that is to organize your assets and easily reuse them again and again. And how we want to build on this is to then later on show different reporting stats next to assets. So this is sort of the first step towards that. But we're hoping it's going to make sort of campaign management a lot easier going forward because you have your assets in one place next to the RAG copy when it comes to digital. And then some smaller things like in trying to improve the whole notifications on the platform. I feel like maybe some of our clients might have been existing sort of notification fatigue because oftentimes we would send a lot of email notifications, and we're trying to simplify that for the key events. There's also a new sort of feedback button and just a general UI upgrade, but I'll go through that now in a sec. So this is the first kind of feature, which is an updated sort of calendar view. So we used to have a list view and a calendar view on the plan page. The calendar view is now going to become the default. And what you'll see here, I'll just show it now in a sec, but a bit more detail on the calendar so planners can add some notes next to titles just for some more extra context. There's a new feature where you can chat on a plan level. So rather than having to go within each single title timeline and message about that specific title, planners can, save versions, chat with clients about the plan. So, it might be, I want to take some of TV out or I want more digital. The idea is to try and replace that email chain back and forth. There's also this version history tab, so planners can save versions and you can then see, how a plan evolved from start to finish. You can see, the first iteration of the plan to the final iteration, all in one place to try and replicate, I guess, the tabs in spreadsheets. There is an export option. And what we heard, I guess, in some situations, exporting it to an Excel is still necessary, potentially at the final step, just to get internal sign-off. So there is that ability still. But there is a couple of other small things like the ability to expand the calendar and stuff like that. And I'll just quickly show that now on the platform. So pretty much when you click into a plan now, this is where you're going to land. So this is the new sort of default view. And as I was saying, we've tried to add bits of more context in, so there's a bit more detail about what that plan is about, like these sort of context notes that planners can add for you guys to kind of see whether it's, an online display ad and it's trying to understand what specific audience are we targeting, or maybe it's, social, and maybe there's some formats, or again a specific digital audience. And in the case of TV, it might be, there's a burst in the first week, stuff like that, to give more context about the plan. There's also this option to expand the calendar, just to give sort of a bigger view of the whole timeline. And you'll see we've added a bit more context in the time axis. So if there's an out of home title, there's going to be cycles included. Otherwise there won't be, but it's just, trying to cater towards the different ways people plan and understand time axis in terms of the media plans. Then clicking here will open the version history tab. And the idea here is pretty much planners can create and save a version. Clients will get notified. You can then view that version, and just understand, what's the inventory, when are things running, what are the budgets. And then I guess what we're thinking after viewing that will be sort of a chat back and forth in this plan level chat, where you can chat about the plan, say, I don't like this part of the version, I like that part. And then planners can iterate and save more versions until it comes to the point where, you're happy with the plan, it's signed off, and then it can obviously be planners can obviously just sign off in the same way that they previously would on the list view, where they can just approve all or click into specific timelines and sign off. That's the last feature here, where you can export it. So you export it to an Excel sheet in a similar sort of structure as maybe planning had been done before. And as I said, that's, I guess, to cater towards those who kind of want that Excel file at the last step, maybe for internal sign off. So we're hoping this becomes, a more detailed and a better workspace for planning in general. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, obviously once it's rolled out, do just feel free to shoot me an email. I'll quickly just go back to the presentation now. So the next, and this is kind of the main feature pretty much of the whole release, and it's the asset library. Now what we had heard, I guess, from our existing clients is that oftentimes emails might, get sent by email. Let's say it's a WeTransfer link. And that's all great. I guess the difficulty though in that is really understanding what asset actually ran for a specific title within a campaign. So the idea behind this is to have that centralized store of assets. You can upload assets, you can upload just text ads in the case of Google. You can add multiple headlines and descriptions next to assets. So obviously that's applicable in terms of social media or programmatic. You can label assets. So as you upload, which I'll show now in a sec, you can add a little label, which essentially is just another way to filter assets when you're trying to find them in the timeline when you're selecting it for a specific title. And you can also create folders and subfolders for those assets. And now, you could organize them in whatever way you wish, whether that's by campaign, whether it's by media type. We've kind of left that open to how different people want to organize their assets. And then there's obviously a bunch of other filters like file type, and you can search by name. And what I've also included is this, see how it works. So you can open a walkthrough tour, but I'll just show you here now what the asset library looks like. So pretty much, as I was saying, you've got a grid and a list view. So whichever view kind of you prefer, you can create folders this way. So you can create your folder, and within those folders, you can create subfolders. And within that, you can also preview your asset easily enough. So here's an audio file. So it can be an audio, a video, an image. The upload function just works like this, where you can pick your file. Let's pick that. In the case of digital, you can just click add text for a digital ad, and you can add multiple headlines and multiple descriptions, and that'll get saved with the asset. So it's just easy at the point when you're selecting it. You've got your headlines and descriptions saved against the asset, and just in order to tag, you just type it in here. So maybe it's a social asset, let's say, and you click enter, and now that's tagged. And if you upload that, that file will get saved with those headlines and descriptions, and it will also get saved with the label. And the purpose of the label here, once you click here, you'll see your labels, and you can quickly filter to those labels. So the idea is to just make it as easy as possible to find the asset when you're looking for it through these different sort of filters. We can filter by size, whether it's been used or not. So once the asset's used in a campaign, we're going to let you know that this asset's been used. Again, just as a way to understand, which assets have never been used versus which have been. There's a bunch of add-ons I'm sure we can make to this. I know I've heard recently, potentially even explaining which specific campaign it was used in. And if that's something we're hearing will be useful, we can certainly add that in. And then also you can preview your asset. As I said, you can upload videos as well, and you can also edit the asset here. So you can change the name, you can change the labels, you can add your headlines and descriptions here, or obviously you can delete your asset. Is there anything else? So here's the walkthrough tour I mentioned. It just opens up as that sort of overlay modal, and it gives you a step-by-step guide of each step in the asset library. So again, it's just to kind of help users, understand how to interact with the tool and how to kind of make the most out of it, and organize things, I guess, in the best way. And the last thing here is you'll see this button here, which is really only applicable. Sorry, Ian, just other question. So you can actually create as many subfolders as you like, which is obviously quite a bit. But I guess we were trying to, in a way, replicate the sort of Google Drive layout where you can, create multiple folders. And kind of what we were hearing as well is oftentimes a creative agency might, send you a WeTransfer link with a whole bunch of folders, and they're already organized in a certain way. And that's why we didn't want to put like a limit on the folder structure. But this button here is relevant for sort of buyers who are like parent buyers. So in our previous release, we introduced that concept of like a parent-child organization. So whether that's a HQ company who's got multiple departments, and they all maybe also set up as buyers on our platform. And let's say the parent organization had a bunch of assets that they wanted to distribute easily across their different sub organizations. They just click on the share with sub buyers. And similarly, when they're uploading, there's a button to share with sub buyers. So it makes it easy to distribute those assets across your sub buyers, just in an easy fashion. Sorry, I just have another question. Okay, I think that's everything on the asset library, guys. But if anyone has any questions, just feel free to shout. As you can see here, here's just an example of a text ad in relation to Google search. And oftentimes, like you might upload a rough idea of a Google search ad with some headlines and descriptions. It might not be perfect, and our digital team can obviously help finalize the exact headlines and descriptions, and then you can reuse that again for the next time if it performs well, obviously. So that's everything with regards to the asset library. I don't think there's anything else. I showed the preview. Obviously, you can preview your videos as well, easily enough, which is just a nice touch, and also the thumbnails, which makes it again a bit easier to find your assets. And I'll just show then how. So in the next slide, I'm just going to touch off how actually you can use that asset library inside your campaign to just have that seamless process where it becomes a point where you're trying to sign off on a campaign and you just need to get your assets uploaded. And there's essentially kind of two ways to do that, essentially. So if I click into a campaign and I click into a title, you're going to see this new tab, which was previously named Ad Specs, and we've renamed it to Assets for the reason of we want it to be easy where you can, look at your ad specs and see what's required in terms of dimensions and file types, and then easily just upload at this point. And if you upload here, you can also obviously just create a text ad, but if you upload here, that will also get saved to the asset library, or you can select directly from the asset library. So you would just click on the asset and click link asset to campaign item. And once you do that, that's obviously going to get saved here as an asset that's linked to that title. So it's a new way of uploading ad copy. I know we previously had the upload ad copy kind of hidden within the composer, and we wanted to make this just easier at the point where you're looking to upload your ad copy. You want to quickly see the specs, and oftentimes you might want to reuse an asset that's been reused before. So that's kind of the idea here. And then it's up to our planners then to link those assets to the specific placements. So in the case of digital, there might be a whole bunch of different formats you might want to do. So you might upload, a bunch, maybe a video, an image, something for a carousel, and then we will connect that to the different placements in terms of digital. And similarly, in the case of traditional, there might just be a video asset. There's no sort of digital checklist involved, and you just upload it here. And then obviously it's onto our side to confirm it with the sellers. But that's kind of everything in that new sort of upload ad copy flow, which I hope doesn't kind of overcomplicate things. But as I said, obviously we're always here to help. The final thing I just wanted to touch off, So as I was kind of explaining, the notifications, previously notifications were going out kind of every time that there was an inventory or a schedule message, which we had kind of felt was a lot, and it wasn't fully necessary. So what we tried to do is make it more, notifications for key events. So whether that is a plan that's published. So what we've also introduced as an internal feature is now that our internal people can create a plan, and clients can see just titles and budgets, but they can't see schedules and inventories until our internal team publish it. And that's the point where you'll get an email notification to say, this first draft of the plan is ready. There may be some versions there, and it's ready to start sort of fleshing out with the client. But you can chat on the plan level chat while it's still in private mode, kind of. So one of the key notifications is when the plan is published. When a version is saved is another one. Danielle, this is going to be live tonight, yeah. So it won't be live on the platform today, but by Monday it'll be there ready for you. And back to notifications. So when a version is saved, you get a notification. Also, when there's a plan message, you get a notification, and also obviously when a plan is turned to campaign. So that's an existing one that's remaining. The other thing is the in-app feedback, which you may have just seen there. So that's this little bubble in the bottom right. I know it's a small thing, but it's hopefully going to help in terms of if you're on the platform and there's maybe something you don't understand or something that might be off. You just click here. You can type your feedback. You can upload a file, or you can capture the page, and that'll just take a screenshot of the page you're on. We will also know what page you're on when you submit it, but it might help give us context if there is something that's completely off that you don't understand. And that's going to come to our team to deal with. So it's just trying to make it easier, a place to give us feedback while on the platform. So you don't have to kind of be jumping across different tools. Back to, I guess, that theme of kind of one place for everything, really. And the final kind of smaller upgrade is you'll notice the whole sort of UI is slightly different. We've just kind of used a UI library to make things more consistent across the board. So each page will have a small difference that you may notice where things are sort of laid out slightly differently. But yeah, again, it's to just trying to improve the general UX of the platform. So that's pretty much everything that we've built over the last 3 months. There's a whole bunch more coming with regards to reporting. We're also looking obviously at the ad briefs, and we're trying to improve the personas. But what we would love to hear is more sort of, ideas that you would love to see us work on. Where all we want to do is build exactly what you guys want us to build. So as I said, if there's something you spot on the platform, just throw us some feedback through the new feedback button. If there's a feature request that you'd love to see, or a specific, reporting aspect that you'd love to see, or even an AI feature that you'd love to see, we've been building a whole bunch of tools that we're using internally, and are looking forward to showing it to you guys soon enough. But yeah, we're super eager to kind of hear what else we can do product wise to try and improve the platform in general. Is there any questions on any of that, guys? I know I probably went through it a little too quickly, but as I said, there will be those walkthrough tours that might help if you don't understand anyway.
Johnny, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Daniel.
Just a quick question. So in, the way you can categorize it as used and unused. So any assets that we have, say, live or used this year, will they automatically go in there, or is it up to us to put them in there just to?
It'll be up to you initially. We won't be backfilling those assets. So unfortunately,
That's perfect.
that is a fair point though. But yeah, I guess the way we're thinking of it is kind of a clean slate from now, I guess.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. No, because I might populate them just for my own, so when I'm looking back next year. But that's great. It looks really good. It's really clear.
Super.
And I like the asset library just so, because I know transfers can get missed and you have to resend them. So that's really good.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of one of the things I was hearing. One of the most annoying things about WeTransfer is the fact that the link will expire and then you have to, send a follow up or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as I was kind of saying, the priority with this is once there's a centralized place for all of these, that's when we can start learning which ones worked and which ones don't work, rather than it being sort of ad hoc and trying to remember what was the best headline to use with that image. this is kind of view one, and obviously what we want to build on is trying to learn what assets worked and what didn't work. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else at all. So if there's nothing else, because I don't want to keep anyone, but as I said, I'll be sending this recording around to all of our clients. And please do feel free to just give me a shout. My email, I think everyone should have it, but it's johnny@buymedia.ai. I should have put it here. I'll just send it into the chat. But if there's nothing else, guys, I'll just wrap it up. Have a super weekend. And thanks everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to what else we can build to improve the platform. So thanks, guys. See ya.